Chapter 31. Mirror Image. After the intimate moment that resulted in the expansion of the Knight family, Cato asked Rain to gather all members from his team for a meeting in Saraki's war room so that they could discuss the next step of their mission. He had gained a lot of knowledge from his ingestion, but still wasn't able to figure out what they were set out to accomplish in the first place, which of course was to learn of Saraki's intention for the large army he had supposedly gathered. If anything, far more questions arose from the gained knowledge than it actually clarified. He was limping through a seemingly never-ending corridor inside the Red Fortress, clumsily leaning on Raven's shoulder for support. Along the way, they passed numerous gorgeous paintings that were hanging on the wall, making it seem as though they were visiting some kind of exhibition at a grand museum.
"You could also carry me, you know,"
he said after hearing a laborious sigh for the third time in just as many minutes. He stopped and turned his head to Raven, but his eyes wandered off on their own to a lifelike painting of a nude woman who stood waist-deep in a body of water that was as black as ink. She had ash-brown hair that flowed down alongside the curves of her body. Her luminescent hands were raised to the silvery moon in the star-filled sky, as if attempting to catch a firefly inside her glowing mittens. It wasn't the explicit imagery that caught his attention, or, at the very least, not what kept him captivated. The woman's head was tilted upward, but she wasn't gazing at the nocturnal ceiling. Her eyes were staring straight back at the viewer, straight back at him. They were hauntingly mesmerizing, eyes that made any celestial body seem dull. He could gawk into those green, gold, bronze, aquamarine, and everything in between for ages, but there was more to the painting that demanded his scrutiny. His eyes made a slow descent, landed on her breasts, and were stuck there for far longer than his pride allowed him to admit. He couldn't stop thinking about someone he knew who greatly resembled the woman in the painting, but his mind inadvertently paid a visit to Doris Felinius, Piper Loxwald's wife, instead. He couldn't blame his mind for the indelicate thoughts that followed. He still held great memories of her great mammaries. A grin appeared on his face, which he immediately tried to suppress, and shook off the appetizing distraction from his mind to quickly move on with the inspection of the painting. His eyes continued the descent, passing her navel, and arriving at the reflection that was cast on the surface of the water. The mirror image didn't match. In the reflection, he saw an upside-down portrayal of a young woman with long, flowing hair that was as pale as the moon she held between her palms. The silvery threads spread across the entire lower part of the painting like ghastly tentacles of a giant squid. Her icy blue eyes were fixed on the woman who cast the reflection on the water. They carried an expression that fell somewhere in that narrow space between love and hate, but for some reason Cato knew that the depiction was incorrect. It should have been love, and love only. Seeing the image forced him to think about things he hadn't thought about since leaving Serenity Hills almost a week ago, and he wasn't able to brush off the feeling that the painting was connected to them somehow. The silver hair and the frigid blue eyes. It couldn't have been coincidental. The woman instantly reminded him of the twins from his dreams, Cain and Neera Everlong. His heart was pounding in his chest as he lowered his eyes even further, beyond the framed border of the painting, and saw a label with the title of the artwork, The Apotheosis of Ava and Nyx.
"Nyx,"
he whispered soundlessly.
"Not happening, Kay,"
Raven said when he saw Cato's fascination with the painting. He took one quick glance at the naked women, curled his lips and wrinkled his nose as if smelling something nasty.
"Not carrying you."
Cato snapped out of his reverie and reluctantly removed his eyes from Ava's divine shapes.
"Why not?"
he asked, surprised by Raven's unease, and began wondering how long he had been staring at the painting.
"You may not recall what happened at the city square, but I had to carry you to Val Roker on my back after you passed out."
"And?"
"And?"
Raven continued, rubbing the back of his head, sensing that his unease was starting to evolve into a full-blown embarrassment.
"Well, you were nibbling my earlobe, Kay, all the while whispering sugary sweet honey-dipped words."
Cato burst into a cackling laughter.
"I did not."
he blustered, sounding more assured than he actually felt.
Did I?
Raven wrapped his arm around Cato's neck and laughed along joyfully. The warmth of the gesture was profound and heartfelt.
Oh, I'm afraid you most certainly did, my friend. Unfortunately for the both of us, there were witnesses. Granted, you did call me Maya on more than a few occasions.
He paused to await the reaction on Cato's face. The horrified blush he saw was all he needed to send his laughter into an explosive roar.
The things you said to me, Kay. Well, let's just say that if Lady Maya had heard what I heard, you would have her purring at your lips, I'm sure. Or, wherever.
Cato turned pale as a sheet in a matter of seconds, but at the same time his entire face reddened.
I really like her,
he mumbled and hastily steered Raven back into motion.
Oh, I know,
Raven said, still chuckling.
If that was supposed to be a secret, you're not exactly doing a great job keeping it. As a matter of fact, neither of you are.
Cato twisted his lips to hide his smile.
Do you approve?
Does it matter?
It does.
Cato answered very seriously all of the sudden. Raven chuckled, seemingly pleased to hear the answer.
Honestly, I don't exactly see her the way you do. I mean, she is very pretty, don't get me wrong, and she does have many great qualities.
But?
Raven sighed.
I don't know, Kay. You stare at her like you're gaping at a goddess. Even right now, your eyes light up just by mentioning her name. I have never seen you like that before, not even with,
You can say her name. Things may not have worked out between us, but I bear no ill will toward Ace.
I just think that Master Aisha is perfect, for you, I mean. She is beautiful, intelligent, elegant, powerful, an actual goddess.
Raven stopped talking as soon as he noticed the curious grin that crawled onto Cato's face. He flushed a crimson red and scratched his temple with an awkward chuckle.
You know what? Never mind. I don't even know what I'm trying to say here.
Are you sure that you don't?
Cato's grin intensified.
Everything you said about her is true. I don't think there is a single person in the realm who would dispute that. Anyone would be considered lucky to be involved with her. But more importantly, no one would blame those who want to try their luck and shoot for the stars.
He patted Raven on the back and gleefully laughed.
Look,
Raven said, uncomfortably clearing his throat in his fist.
All I'm saying is that if Lady Maya can make your heart sing like no other, you would be an idiot not to listen to that song.
Cato promptly stopped laughing and thought about that for a second.
I like that,
he said, and continued stumbling down the corridor, gently pushing Raven along.
A sound advice that, perhaps, everyone should follow. Don't you agree?
I have no idea what you're trying to imply.
Raven grumbled and flung a finger at a double-door entrance at the end of the corridor. A low murmur could already be heard coming from the other side.
We're almost there,
he said and snorted.
Saraki's war room.
The final stretch down the long corridor was decorated with mirrors on both sides, as well as the ceiling, making it seem like an endless passage. Cato froze completely stiff when he gazed upon his reflection for the very first time since waking up.
Don't you dare say a goddamn thing,
he sneered at Raven as soon as he saw his mirror image stare back at him with a puzzled frown. Raven licked his teeth, raised his eyebrows, and obliged with nothing but a cheesy grin.
I do look different, though, don't I?
Cato asked, running a couple of fingers through his ebony hair and staring at 2 strands of silver, completely dumbfounded. He couldn't help but to think of the Everlong twins again, but was cautious enough not to draw any conclusions from the thought.
Please tell me that I look different than before, Raven.
He rolled his eyes to the side and froze again when he saw Maya's reflection staring back at him.
Oh, I wouldn't worry about that, Cap.
She flashed a wicked smile and reached out her hand to tuck the strands of silver behind his ear.
It suits you quite well if I do say so myself.
Cato was staring back at her reflection without being able to utter a single word and knew that Raven was right. He did see her as a goddess. And right now, the look that she gave him was the look of someone who knew exactly what she wanted. Or better yet, who she wanted. He made a conscious effort to store this moment into his mental vault so that he would be able to access it until his dying day. From the corner of his eye, he saw that Raven was pinching and rubbing his earlobe, smiling a cheeky smile, and quite obviously enjoying himself. Seeing Raven back to his old cheerful self brought a smile to his face as well. He gave Maya's reflection a courteous bow before turning to her physical presence.
Come,
He said, and placed a hand on her waist.
the others are waiting for us.